Hi, I'm Neil McMahon, Brian Park Consulting's Configure Price Quote CPQ lead. In today's video, we'll be taking a deep dive into NetSuite CPQ guided selling plus NetSuite CPQ configurator functionality. Now, while we have seen past videos focused on one or the other, there is a native connective functionality that allows users to utilize both guided selling and a configurator. Zooming in on this diagram, guided selling is launched from one of the following transactions within NetSuite. The user queries the product catalog, i.e. the item master. And while guided selling is a Amazon-like cosmetic user interface tool used to search through items and present tiles with images, prices, margins, descriptions to the user, it is mainly used as a tool to sell finished good products. While NetSuite CPQ, a configurator, is used as a bottoms-up tool to configure from scratch a finished good. So the way these two can act together is through guided selling in the user interface. If a specific item is found and that item has a is configurable Boolean flag field checked as true on that record, then it can be used as a configurable item. Now you have to have a configurator set up to configure that specific item or that product. So maybe you're searching through guided selling for furniture and you have a customizable furniture piece. There can be a configure button on that item tile in guided selling to launch the user into the configurator. They configure that custom item. They submit that. That item can go back to the transaction, or that item can be created as a new record after it's submitted. And then perhaps that finished good can be searchable as an item within guided selling. Let's take a deeper look at this. I am on an estimate record in NetSuite. I will select the guided selling button. For today's use case, we'll be taking a look at medical supplies. So I, the user, am a sales representative on the phone with an opportunity. In addition to manufacturing and selling medical supplies to hospitals, nursing clinics, and other clinics around the globe, we also have a medical apparel pocket and a custom product label printing pocket of the company. And we print labels on medical supplies. Today, we'll be utilizing guided selling to search through our product catalog because our opportunity has asked for a quote on some specific cleaning and disinfectant items. And they have also asked for a quote for a custom label. So first, we can do a top level query. Guided selling can show the tile with an image. Normally, the SKU or the item name number would be up top, and the description, the display name, sales description would be down here at the bottom. Guided selling can utilize quantity-based pricing or customer-based pricing. So whatever customer is selected on the transaction record, that specific customer price will be pulled in and shown on the item tile. Also, if the item is not relevant to a specific customer, it would not be shown. Let's go a level deeper and search by disinfectants. It has gone from 10 items to 7. We can go a third level and search by brand. I'll add one of these to the cart. we have a required item, a warranty, that is required to also be submitted back to the cart and the transaction. Normally, you wouldn't have warranties for things like sprays or spray bottles, but in this example, we'll make it a required item for the sales rep to use. Once I add it, the validation goes away. In the cart, we can see that we have our two items, the warranty and the main 1-gallon Cavicad surface disinfectant. We can also use other flags on the field to do another level of search through volume. So right now, only one item matches that criteria. We can also search by a price range, do a global search based on the item ID or description. Let's add this to the cart. We also have add-on items. Add-on items are kind of a nudge to the sales rep as a upsell. Perhaps a good example is if we are selling a medical cart by a specific brand, an add-on quote unquote recommended item could be a drawer that fits into that cart, manufactured and made by the same brand. For now, I won't add any add-ons. They're not required. But now let's take a look at the configurator functionality and where that falls into play within guided selling. I'm going to go under the custom tab and search for our label. So this is a custom item that we have set up in NetSuite. This is how we generate our custom labels. So notice there is a configure button on this item, and that is because we have that flag, that field is configurable checked on this custom item. I'm going to select configure. That will then launch me into CPQ, this portion. We're taken to our configurator user interface. Let's select our label type, new. This will be for clip strips, shrink wrap, and for pallets. We can also look up data points on other records for labor, as well as cost. So here, it's asking me to populate a bunch of input fields. Let's go ahead and do that. And that generates our project pallets per shift. These can tap into things like routings, routing steps. Think of it this way, we're configuring a finished good. That finished good is technically an assembly item in the form of our label. It doesn't have to be, but maybe in that label we have things like paper, plastic, dye, and it has to be routed through different work centers. And we can also pull in manufacturing cost templates. So we're really configuring the custom label, but we're also seeing how much it'll cost our company to make. Because I am let's say, a sales manager, I can override certain requirements here. That validation was informing me that in order for this configuration to be eligible to be submitted back to the transaction, I have to input cost and markup. I don't want to do that, so I'll select that. And that could be driven by a rule that looks at the user's email, name, or role within NetSuite. Next, production process. This can lean into things like those routings. So the manufacturing cost templates and work centers, we can specify what step number it is, how many people it'll take to accomplish this step, and we can move on. We can select our materials, perhaps like glue, that will be involved in the manufacturing of this product. Normally, the price or the rate would just be generated automatically, but because I am the manager, I am given the privilege of being able to freeform some of these so I can specify the price myself. And we have some calculations happening in the background. Next, end item detail. So we can populate an item description because it is a new custom label. We'll likely need to put something in this field. And I can apply a discount such as 20%, and that gets applied to the total. So what we're seeing here is our SKU, our item name number for the assembly. I can audit the configuration at any time by looking at our bill of materials. Currently, there's just one material that goes into the making of this label. I can also look up routing steps. Those are the steps that go into the manufacturing of the assembly. But for now, everything seems pretty shipshape. So we have a sales price of $56. Maybe it costs us around $10 to make. We can calculate all of that in the configurator as well. I'll go ahead and submit this. And then that gets pushed back to the estimate. And I still have guided selling up on the other tab. But this is using a template item, also called a base generic product. So if we're doing a lot of quoting and we don't know if we're going to close the deal and we don't know if we're actually going to be making that item, using a template is great to avoid item bloat and redundant items. Or we can have logic in there to indicate we want the item record to be created based on a selection, or that can happen all the time. Here's our description that was mapped in. Going back to guided selling, we still have these 3 items in the cart, and we can submit those. Now we have our configured custom item and these other finished good items that we queried. Our 1 gallon disinfectant, warranty item, and this other 24-ounce disinfectant spray. Utilizing guided selling or CPQ on their own is powerful enough, but having them mold together and act together is even more powerful. They are separate suite apps, but they all work natively within NetSuite and with one another. They also fully work with proposals as well, which you can see in our other videos. Thank you for watching this demonstration. If you have any questions, please reach out to Brian Park Consulting.